Yo, man, what's good to it's your boy McKenna, aka Mr. Sniper. But look, today, man, this is part 7. Let's get into it.
That Lil Boo was in fact killed by 4 shooters instead of just 1, and inferring that his killing was a setup. Indeed, online rumors would later spread
Hold on.
that 4 members of 051 had orchestrated the hit. However, police reports posted on Reddit would seemingly suggest that it was only one shooter who confronted Lil Boo, shooting him to the ground and then standing over him. Given Lil Boo's fierce reputation in the streets, as time went on, his enemies would take delight in dissing him. For example, infamous gangster disciple from STL, Wooski, would diss Lil Boo relentlessly in his song Computers Remix, as would FBG Duck on his Exposing Me remix, where he referred to him as the long-running, disrespectful nickname, Tirehead. FBG Dutchie would also be seen in an interview with Wooski disrespecting Lil Boo and breaking down how the murder happened and telling the world exactly why they call him Tirehead.
Can I ask you guys about the situation where you guys say tire head? Can I ask you where that comes from?
Tire head. Hey, watch out for that car.
Okay.
This is what I heard on the street. I don't know about no money.
Okay.
They said some funny ass got smoked.
Okay.
When he got smoked, he tried to run. The damn fell by the car. They walked up on him, finished him over. And
Oh,
they said tire rock by the tire.
Okay. Now was this from the other side?
This is one of the funny guys.
Oh, okay.
051 Driller would also make fun of Lil Boo's death by tweeting on the 1st of November 2015 how his friend was going to a Halloween party as Lil Boo, with his friend literally holding a tire to their head. Already less than a month after Lil Boo's death, Driller from 051 had tweeted implying how Lil Boo, LA Capone, and Trix were all killed by his gang 051. FBG Duck's brother, FBG Brick, would also share a picture of Lil Boo's dead body on Twitter, claiming, "This is what happens when you smoke Tuka." And the Chirac scorekeeper Mubu Crump, who had once upon a time actually been friends with 600 and their associates before aligning with 051, would take the disrespect to new levels by describing the murder of Lil Boo.
So he used to be cool with Dirk and Daz
During one of his IG lives, saying that Lil Boo had begged for mercy while he was hiding behind the car before being shot 40 times. Crump would also claim that 051 don't even bother sliding on 600 anymore because they've taken so many losses and are hiding behind THF-46.
Hey, on 400, look right. On the rear, I ain't gonna even start like, Lil Boo got hit 40 times. He hollering up under a car like, please don't do this to me, please. The 6 got so many dead guys, it don't even make no sense. Like, no flex. Like, we don't even slide on the 6 no more, bro, because y'all ain't even on the real. Like, it's to say we be 4-6 up and y'all hiding behind them. And it's crazy, like, E-Day, like, you the lost rapper of the BDs. Like, your guys don't even with you. Like, you a truck driver, bro.
But no one would post about Lil Boo more than Boobie, who was devastated by this loss. At around 12:43 PM, just over an hour after Lil Boo had been shot, she would post several pictures of the couple, together with text, that gives the impression that at this point, Boobie still believed that Lil Boo might survive the shooting. She would also have an outburst against all of the people who were seemingly talking about her and Lil Boo's relationship in the aftermath of the shooting, saying how she had love for both her gang set and Lil Boo. And she would seem to be in a state of disbelief about what had happened. And in the following days, she would tweet countless posts all about him, saying how she knew that Lil Boo had other girls, reminiscing about all the times they'd spent together, posting pictures of their FaceTime calls, and even seemingly implying that she was somehow still talking with him. It would seem that Boobie's mental health was taking a major slide after losing Lil Boo. Still, in August 2015, she would tweet how much she missed him, together with another tweet of a screenshot of somebody's phone screen, with a background photo of Boobie and an incoming call from somebody named simply an engagement ring emoji. This would be Boobie's last tweet about Lil Boo, because in the beginning of September, while Boobie was at a party in Jaro City's hood that was being thrown in honor of one of their most beloved fallen members, Crack, aka P5, with King Von allegedly playing a role in the murder, a fight would break out, shots were fired, and one of these shots ended up hitting Boobie in the head, with her being pronounced dead in a hospital just an hour later. A few days after Boobie's death, the Chicago Tribune would write an article about her where they would interview her mum and sister, and in this emotional piece, her family would tell how Boobie was hanging out with people she loved dearly, but they didn't love her back. And although there were numerous people who witnessed the events that led to her death, nobody would come forward and talk to the police. And the article would end with words from her mother, who explained how Boobie loved and trusted hard, and it was ultimately these qualities that ended up being her downfall. Within the same year, this cursed Chicago couple had both lost their lives due to gang violence. 2 gang affiliates from the wrong side of the tracks, who met dramatically tragic endings, like a true Chicago Romeo and Juliet story. But this is real life, and the death of this couple from opposing gangs would leave members on each side mourning bitterly. The murder of Lil Boo was a particularly huge loss for 600, and now both of 600's original founders were now dead. A huge void was left in the gang, and unfortunately, the slew of losses didn't stop.
So that's how the fall of 600 happened. Both of the founders end up getting killed. Damn, bro.
And in just 3 months, another older and well-respected member of 600 would wind up being killed in brutal fashion. In 2015, Stello was in his mid-20s and really would be considered
That's just crazy though, because sometimes I don't know. I just don't know how. I really just don't know really how they were able to live like that. Just live like that. Just crazy knowing people want to take you out. You know what I'm saying? Because you're from that block and you rep that rival set. I don't know, man. It just really sad that, you know, saying our people gotta live like that, bro. And sometimes, you know, saying people really be good people, but you know, saying they're just born into bad situations and bad neighborhoods where, you know, saying they're forced to um, live the street life because that's the only way they'll be able to make money, say, and keep the lights on and feed themselves. But then the bad side is lose your life or you go to jail 25 years of life. You know?
acknowledging Stello's connection to 600 and describing how people in the area were expecting retaliation. It had been rumored that MOB's top killer Bebe may have been the one responsible for this hit, but the retaliation would come indirectly and much later. Over a year after the murder in September 2016, a man named Eric Banks, who was known in the streets as E-Boy from MOB, would be shot to death in MOB's neighborhood, targeted by a gunman who would exit a vehicle and run down E-Boy and his friend while shooting at them, and this gruesome killing would be caught on a nearby surveillance camera. After the death of E-Boy, Bite Down is a lesser-known member of 600, an occasional rapper who had his own aspirations in music.
Going like a favorite hell yeah. Big that.
Body dropping the mixtape coming soon.
Oh, that's what it is?
Body dropping the mixtape coming soon.
Oh, that's gonna go.
Hear me, man? Body dropping the mixtape coming soon, man. That coming, B. Mixtape, oh damn.
Bite Down had a seemingly close relationship with a and Imoni's friends' lives. Now, this is one of the most heartbreaking scenes that I've ever covered, and this goes far beyond gang violence to somebody that could have easily...
I feel sad, bro. They both died on the same day. 96, 2000. They're supposed to be alive right now. 1996 and 2000.
been the plot in a serious horror film, but this is real life with real people, and there would need to be real life consequences. Bite Down had initially got away with this, fleeing the scene without a trace. However, a few days later, a police officer noticed two men driving without wearing seatbelts and pulled them over. Bite Down would give the police a fake name, and he was miraculously allowed to leave the scene, but it seems he would have gotten away with this situation if his friend didn't choose to erratically then merge into another lane straight after the stop in front of the cops. The police then decided to go after the car to issue the driver a ticket, but when they stopped the car and told Bite Down to show his hands, He refused before taking off running. Officers believed he was armed and proceeded to tase Bite Down, finally leading to his arrest, when he would ultimately be taken in and charged with multiple offenses, the most serious ones being first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated battery by discharging a firearm, and the intentional homicide of an unborn child. However, despite this arrest taking place in 2016, Bite Down is still awaiting trial today in 2024, with many following the Chicago drill scene confused as to why this trial has taken so long. And despite the incredibly brutal nature of this crime that is frankly unforgivable, that hasn't stopped 600 members and their allies from showing blanket support for Bite Down. For example, childhood friend of his King Von would rap Free Bite Down in numerous songs such as Straight to It and Think I'm a where he would rap an ironic line saying free Bite Down and that he doesn't fight. Von would even encourage female fans to get in touch with Bite Down while he was behind bars, claiming he was now single and believing that he was due to come home on bail imminently. Mimo 600 would call for Bite Down to be freed and even claimed he's innocent, writing, "When a dog is cornered, it will bite," whilst adding 2 times, which in this context kinda looks like he's being praised for the double murder that he committed on a woman and a teenage boy. Now, the praise that Bite Down still receives from his gang is incredibly disturbing when you consider what he is actually accused of doing, but ultimately, it's no surprise. When you consider the fact that most of these young men find themselves involved in this perpetual gang war, are fully desensitized to violence, then it kind of makes sense in a very twisted way. These young men have been around death and murder for so long that something this shocking could be considered normal behavior. Bite Down himself would tweet not long before these tragic events how he had been involved in gang life since elementary. But moving into 2017, despite the dark clouds that were now all over 600, something interesting would happen, as one of the rapping members, 600 Breezy, would end up being rewarded for his efforts in the music game, landing himself on the radar of the most successful rapper to ever live, and for a brief moment, scoring himself and his team another opportunity to get away from the violent streets of Chicago and into the high life of the Hollywood music industry. After 600 Breezy released his breakout song Don't Get Smoked in 2014, he began getting attention from all over the music industry, but cosigns don't get much bigger than Drake. The legendary rapper, singer, and actor is quite literally the pinnacle of the rap game, and pretty much the closest thing this generation has to Michael Jackson in terms of numbers on the board. And Drake was clearly a fan of 600 Breezy's music. He would play Don't Get Smoked on his 6th episode of his Apple Music show OVO Radio. This was obviously a huge opportunity for Breezy, opening the door to endless possibilities within the rap industry and giving him a chance to really take 600 to the mainstream. In an interview with XXL, 600 Breezy would explain how Drake initially tapped in and sent him a clip of himself going wild to the song Don't Get Smoked, as well as his personal phone number. From there, 600 Breezy and Drake would remain in touch.
Like he met Drake. What happened now? Drake didn't fuck with him no more. What happened now? Drake didn't really fuck with black people like that.
And Breezy would be seen rolling with Drake's entourage through 2015 and 2016, with Breezy even accompanying Drake on stage to accept his Billboard Music Award alongside rap legends like Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj. In March 2017, Drake would release his highly anticipated playlist More Life, and much to the surprise of many drill fans, at the end of track 16, on Lose You, listeners would hear a voice note from none other than 600 Breezy, who would pop up and shout out his gang. Following the release of Drake's More Life, Breezy would release the song Lou Rules that would go on to do some serious numbers, with the music video standing today at almost 7 million views. Breezy would even end up inheriting the highly publicized beef that Drake had with XXXTentacion in the aftermath of the More Life album release, due to allegations that Drake had stolen X's flow on one of the songs, with X and Breezy eventually exchanging words in DMs, and 600 Breezy even posting videos of himself going to X's hood in Florida, seemingly showing Drake that the 600 goons were ready to slide for him all over America.
Man, knock it off. Knock it off. I'm in my hotel in Broward County. Knock it off.
Peacock. Hey, yo, I'm looking for XXXTentacion. Y'all seen him? No? Nobody seen him? Mr. Peacocks? Ain't this his hood? Where he at? No? Nobody seen him? No? Yo! Hey, Peacock Fule! Hey, have you seen? Look at this big ass peacock. This is a big ass peacock, bro. This a big ass peacock. I'm in Miami though, and we're all over and every.
They doing this the whole time. Drake don't give a fuck about none of these niggas, bro. Come on, now. You think Drake give a fuck about these niggas? He don't.
County, if looking for me, and you talking that gangsta, and I'm blicked up.
600 Breezy was in the company of music industry titans and in a prime position to break into the mainstream rap game. However, in the end, some people believe Breezy kind of fumbled the opportunity, as he ultimately would make a decision that saw him slip out of Drake's inner circle. In an interview with DJ Small's Eyes, Breezy, who had already been signed to the record label Empire since 2015, would explain that he refused to sign with Drake, claiming that he didn't want to be signed to another rapper because he believed that this would lead him to not get the shine that he deserved.
Can't sign to another rapper. It's like, he got to do his job too. Like, he's still rapping. You got to sign to somebody that's don't want to be the person that you are, like, or don't want to hold you down to not get bigger than them. It's like I always let them down the easy way. Like you cool, bro, but I can't sign to you. Everybody seen me with Drake all the time. I wouldn't sign to Drake, bro. Because at the end of the day, he's still an artist. Like, if I sign to him, he's gonna sign me to a label. I'm gonna have some other people over it. They ain't gonna be like, I'm dealing with him. If anything, if I wanted to be like, if I can call Drake right now and be like, man, all right, I'm gonna sign to you, he'll sign me. So, I'm like, nah.
Moreover, Breezy would unfortunately be faced with legal issues in the months following More Life's release, with him being arrested on probation violations stemming from a 2012 drug case in Waterloo, Iowa, where Breezy had been arrested together with Stello and others for possession with intent to deliver crack cocaine, with rap magazine XXL stating that within just a matter of weeks, Breezy had gone from the stage with Drake to facing 10 years in prison. Breezy would later explain in an interview how Iowa's law enforcement had been tracking everything he had been doing since he released Don't Get Smoked, cataloging all the ways that he was violating the conditions of his parole and waiting to finally take him down.
You had, like, after you first put out that song, and like you had a bunch of moments around that time musically, but then it felt like your career kind of kept getting derailed by going to prison. So when did that start, and how did that go up? So you had some crazy momentum going at first.
So this the crazy part about it. I caught my case in Iowa in 2012, bro. Caught my case in Iowa in 2012, and I did damn near a year or something and got probation. I transferred back to Illinois. So as I started rapping, I'm on probation in Iowa. I'm just transferred type. So I'm doing all of it, toting guns and traveling without permission. Like, I'm doing everything that I was doing I wasn't supposed to do because I'm on probation. So these people, the way Iowa played it, they let it build up. They ain't say they just took everything and just created a big ass folder. And when I had a month left and was finna discharge, I'll come to court. So I'm thinking this, then they all know it's a violate. We gonna reimpose your original sentence. You can plead guilty or go to trial. I took it to a quick little trial, and they slammed my stupid ass. They showed me all that, and none of that stuck. They got me off a dirty UAs. That the lady said, I released you on a controlled substance case, and you continue to use a controlled substance. So my lawyer, like, what does that have to do with the? Like, he got caught for selling drugs, not smoking it. She like, oh, shit. She used that to reimpose my risk. So in 2017, bro, I went to prison with, now I got 4 years and 9 months over my head.
Was this because of I think Drake won an award and you went on stage with Drake?
Yeah, I went to jail 2 weeks after that. No, it wasn't even because of that. They used that too. They had everything. So from Don't Get Smoked up until Lou Rawls, anything that I did, Iowa had that was it. That they had, if I had a gun, anything, Iowa had that folder and let it build.
Fortunately, things weren't all bad as.
So if you're on probation, why the fuck are you doing that dumbass shit if you're on probation? Nigga, that's your dumbass fault. You're on probation, you towing guns, smoking this, doing...
Breezy would eventually catch a huge break after his lawyer would successfully file a motion for his sentence to be reconsidered, arguing that Breezy was a successful entertainer that had contributed positively towards society, and in late 2018, he was finally granted parole, hitting the streets running by releasing a new EP called First 48. But Breezy was now on thin ice, as he was still on parole, and any wrong move would land him back in prison. But he would keep releasing music in 2019, which would still do numbers, but not quite the same kind of hype that he was getting during his time when he first started hanging out with Drake in 2017, when he had released his biggest hit since Don't Get Smoked, titled Lou Rawls, in the months following the release of More Life. And then, during 2020, musically would begin to slowly diminish, as did his numbers. Although Breezy would still get a few hits on outlets like Worldstar, however, overall, it would seem that Breezy was beginning to transition more into a celebrity who was known for his relationships and other antics, rather than his music. However, mentally, Breezy was doing well, as he would post on his Instagram in September 2021 how he had been clean off hard drugs for 7 months. But unfortunately, soon Breezy was in trouble with the law once again, first in Alabama where he was arrested on fugitive charges, and soon again in Iowa Iowa, where he landed back in jail once again for violating the conditions of his parole. This case would allegedly come partly as a result of Breezy engaging in yet another high-profile beef earlier that year, when he had threatened the rapper 6ix9ine after he had dissed King Von, who had famously been killed at the end of 2020 after the fight with Quando Rondo.
You gon' die.
Yo, listen, you haven't killed nobody.
You gon' die. You gon' die. You gon' die. And that's all I'm saying.
You know, it's crazy the whole time, bro. This nigga 6ix9ine is literally a fan of these niggas, bro. Literally a fan of Rondo, Dirk, and all them niggas. He's literally a fan of these niggas, bro. He was literally a fan of them, literally.
I'm gonna go to jail respectfully. I'm gonna go to jail respectfully when I see you. Respectfully, I'm not meek, nigga. And you gotta move around with security because you gotta move around with security because you gotta move around with security. Real street move and take security guards. You gon' die. You gon' die. You gon' die. Your security guards better be strapped all that. You police bad ass. You can't. Police. You the police.
That's why Rondo.
You got whole hood took down. You ain't even got. You can't even. Because you ain't got no hood. You gon' die.
But already in February 2022, Breezy would be back out posting paperwork that he claimed showed that 6ix9ine was directly snitching on him. He would keep dropping music during 2022, but by and large, it seemed like the superstardom that Breezy was close to stepping in 5 years earlier had now diminished, with one Facebook post from April 2023 even insinuating that Breezy had even returned to selling drugs, as he claimed his customers would repeatedly ask him when he was dropping new music when they came to pick up packs. But fortunately, it seems that Breezy's mental health has since improved, and he's back to dropping music again, as well as seemingly staying on good terms with at least some of 600, as he would do a No Jumper interview with another 600 rapper Mimo in late 2023, opening up about his past struggles and future plans. Who knows the possible heights he could have reached if he signed to OVO and used his Drake sign to further his career. But regardless, Breezy still claims that him and Drake are loyal friends, and even after choosing not to sign with OVO, he's still been seen working with them, for example promoting their clothing line. And perhaps he feels that even if he maybe left money and some big career moves on the table, he kept his integrity intact and made the move that was true to who he was. But while 600 Breezy was grappling with the allure of signing away his soul to another rapper in the music industry in 2017, that year the violence in the streets would reach new heights, as 600 affiliates from nearby O Block would become embroiled in a new chapter of Chicago's gang wars, with one of their most beloved members, T. Roy, ultimately being killed by their ops, with O Block and 600 launching a brutal revenge campaign and giving their alliance a new nickname that would go on to become infamous in the Chicago streets for years to come. Of course, I'm talking about Get That Gang. For this next story, I'm going to keep things simple, because the next few things I'm going to talk about have been covered extensively in various videos on my channel. Ultimately, the close friendship between 600...
Thank you. Just keep it short, because we already know about this. Keep it short, you know what I'm saying, because we already know about this. Keep it short.
And O Block meant that often there would be overlaps in their enemies and the conflicts that they would engage in. And in the year of 2017, it would ultimately go down as one of the most violent years, with O Block and 600 creating a bloodbath in Southside Chicago. On February the 26th, 2017, 600 members Just Blow, Booker, and Young Famous released their remix to a 21 Savage song called Dirty Glock. The video features all the usual trademarks of a classic drill video and represents 600 in 2017 at their most authentic. And it's a good reminder that at this point, with there having been around half a decade of media attention focused towards Chicago drill, by now, numerous people in and around 600 were global celebrities that young rap fans all over the world would follow religiously. And most of these people were still living, or at least sometimes staying, around their old stomping grounds near the Washington Park and Woodlawn neighborhoods. This video would show just how close 600 was with their closest ally O Block, with some of their most famous members hanging around together. At the end, after the music stops, the camera pans over to one O Block member in particular, and that member was T. Roy. T. Roy is known to many Chiracologists as a legend in his own right. He's an infamous shooter from O Block and was the best friend of Chicago drill legend King Von. And it's believed that T. Roy was a huge inspiration to King Von, actually teaching him many things about moving in the streets, with the two allegedly going on numerous hits together. To this day, King Von's Instagram still has T. Roy's picture as his profile pic, with the account still bearing his nickname V-Roy that Von begun to use in honor of T. Roy after his death. And similarly, on T. Roy's Twitter, his name is still Free King Von, which dates all the way back to 2017, when King Von was locked up fighting his his murder case, with T. Roy ultimately dying before he could actually see King Von Fried. Many Reddit threads can be found discussing the legend of T. Roy and his infamous body count, as well as the alleged combined body count of both T. Roy and King Von. Now, T. Roy himself would be the prime example of don't judge a book by its cover, as he would stand at just around 5'2", but his small stature didn't stop him from getting busy in the street, and with a gun in his hand, he could take down any man.
He was only 5'2"? Damn, I did not know that.
Of any size, and due to his savage and fearless reputation, T. Roy was beloved in the streets of O Block. But sadly, his life would be cut short on the 14th of February 2017 when T. Roy was tragically shot dead inside of a convenience store, allegedly by TB, aka Terry Barry from Taekwon World. Allegedly, it was that same day that T. Roy himself was actually looking to catch TB, as a fellow Taekwon World member named 2Times would later describe in a remix of King Von's song Crazy Story. T. Roy was very close to members of 600 and was known to be very active in the gang war in the streets, which is why many 600 members would take the death of T. Roy so personally. T. Roy's death sent shockwaves all around O Block and their allied sets. Whilst his closest friend King Von was in jail at the time, other members still in the streets would choose to step up, pick up their guns. And in reaction to T. Roy's death, O Block and 600 would join forces under the name OB600, forming a pact to get revenge for T. Roy. And this would start a long list back-to-back revenge killings in his honor, which earned this group of killers from O Block 600 another nickname for their alliance, Get Back Gang. O Block 600 members who were closest to T. Roy personally would seek revenge on rival territory and try and kill almost anybody associated with their enemies on sight. On the same evening of T. Roy's murder, Booker 600 would post on Twitter warning the public of just how serious a retaliation was coming. And just 3 months later, in May 2017, members of Get Back Gang would allegedly begin their streak of murders. Lil Ho, real name Warren Denton, was a 44-year-old member of Gyro City. Now, Lil Ho was apparently known as a moneymaker in the area and was allegedly the uncle of 600 Breezy, despite still being from opposing gangs. Due to his age, it's very unlikely that he was involved in the modern-day gang war between the younger members of 600, but simply being from Gyro City would ultimately make him a target of the gang. On the afternoon of the 15th of May, several rounds were fired in the 6100 block of South Eberhard. Lil Ho, real name Warren Delton, was found lying on the pavement with several deadly gunshot wounds, including to his head, and he was ultimately pronounced dead at the scene. The major incident notification document posted by Chiracologist and watermark enthusiast Chusky the Real would reveal that there were apparently 4 shooters present at the scene, with one of them standing over Lil Ho when killing him. The 600 member most rumored to have been involved is McAdoo, aka Macaduya. He was allegedly spotted on the scene by witnesses wearing jeans and a black hoodie. Interestingly, some Redditors have deeply analyzed the dark reality behind this murder, specifically its connection to 600, as even after Lil Ho's murder, 600 Breezy would be pictured with McAdoo, the alleged killer of his own uncle. But Get Back Gang were just getting started, and only 7 days later, they would allegedly strike again, this time against their ops that were the closest and arguably the biggest rivals of 600, MOB. At around 8 PM on the 22nd of May, Jamie Jones
Get back crazy, bro. They're saying getting Get Back like it was nothing, to be honest. It was really getting Get Back like it was nothing for real. Like, it's crazy.
Also known as Jarmo from MOB, was driving at the 59th Street and LaSalle in the Washington Park neighborhood when a car pulled up alongside him with somebody shooting him in the chest, back, and arm. The shooters then turned southbound on Yale and fled the scene, and Jarmo was later pronounced dead at the hospital just before midnight at only 27 years old. Rapper Dusky the Man from MOB would pay respects to Jarmo after the news, which prompting Nemo600 to like the post, undoubtedly an effort to taunt Dusky and MOB for their losses. Investigators would later find out that one of the guns used in this shooting was reportedly the same one used in the Lil Ho murder, linking both crimes to Get Back Gang. And this very gun would later be found in the possession of McAdoo when he was caught later that year in relation to yet another murder case. Due to McAdoo being caught with this murder weapon, it's believed that he was one of the shooters in this crime, which if true, would mean that McAdoo caught 2 bodies in just 1 week. Many Chiracologists have also suggested that Cap 12 was another shooter, with it being widely believed that 600 was responsible for this crime. Get Back Gang had now allegedly killed 2 of their enemies in 7 days, all in retaliation for T. Roy's death, with members from 600 allegedly being involved in both incidents. However, the gang who was most responsible for T. Roy's murder, Taekwon World, had not yet faced any direct consequences, but the Get Back Gang clearly had no plans on stopping, with members like E-Dog tweeting that more Get Backs would be coming in the summer. And indeed, in the next month, Get Back Gang would strike again in another brutal murder. Poppy from Taekwon World was the right-hand man of TB, the man allegedly responsible for killing T-Roy. The two can even be seen in multiple photos together, and they even collaborated on music, landing them Taekwon World's most popular song so far, the aptly titled track Taekwon Way, a song which actually begins with TB dissing most of the major BD sets around the Washington Park and Woodlawn area, saying that he's a 600 killer, Front Street killer, and Savage Squad killer, which is a reference to the label and clique started by the Front Street rapper Fredo Santana, as well as saying he's an O-Block killer. Later, Richie Jerk, member of Taekwon World and the brother of FBG rapper Billionaire Black, would diss O-Block as well as 600 member Lil Boo. Allegedly, after the shooting that ended up killing T-Roy, the surveillance footage captured Poppy and Richie Jerk coming into the store, apparently even laughing at T-Roy while he was laying on the floor dying. Poppy was just 18 years old at this time, and much like any other teen his age, he worked a day job at a local business to make ends meet. On the 16th of June, Poppy was working his shift as normal at the L&P Candy Warehouse. At around 3 p.m, Poppy had been helping an elderly female customer take her shopping back to the car when a maroon-colored vehicle.
And you, here's what I don't get, bro. You in the streets, right? You in the streets and then you're working a job. You cannot do that because, trust me. I mean, you was trying to make that money, but dog, like, you in the streets and working that job.
Pulled into the parking lot, and a masked man exited the vehicle, beginning to fire an AK-47 type automatic rifle towards Poppy, striking him numerous times, including 3 times in the head. Poppy was taken to the Stroger Hospital, where he was pronounced dead around 6 hours later. But to make matters worse, the horrific aftermath of the shooting was recorded by another shopper and is actually still circulating on YouTube today. In the clip, which I can't show you here, Poppy's almost
crazy. I did see that clip, and I was
Plus body can be seen struggling, whilst members of the public are seen crowding around him, attempting to give him first aid. And meanwhile, the lady who Poppy had been helping with her shopping before the shooting can be seen laying on the floor, screaming in shock. And she'd remained there until the police arrived. This candy store itself is located right next to a freeway, essentially giving the shooters a chance to escape to another part of the city almost instantly. And it's alleged that O-Block member HK, who was the brother of T-Roy himself, was the one who killed Poppy, with this murder allegedly being where HK, whose real name is Hakeem, previously nicknamed Heck, would end up getting his new nickname, HK, an abbreviation to Headshot King, due to Poppy being hit in the head numerous times. Unsurprisingly, HK took to the internet to brag about this murder. He was seen flaunting the chain of his big brother, something that members are known to do when they've avenged the death of said person. Further insults and taunting from O-Block members would seemingly implicate HK as the shooter, such as Melly from O-Block visiting the store where Poppy had worked and making a post shouting out HK. A few days later, E-Dog, who would also change his name on Twitter to E-Roy in honor of T-Roy, made a tweet where he compares killing to someone to having sex, which is a creepy post which is actually reminiscent of what C-Day tweeted after the murder of 051 Fathead in 2012. Taekwon World was obviously devastated after Poppy's death, and TB would share to Twitter that he was heartbroken at the news. For Taekwon World, the loss of Poppy was likely equally devastating as the loss of T-Roy was for O-Block and 600. But Get Back Gang weren't done yet, because at this point they likely felt invincible. This was no longer about getting even. They were killing their ops like it was nothing, and at this point facing zero consequences. Just 12 days later, they would continue their murder spree, this time killing a female affiliate of MOB.
Remember that.
White Girl, real name Janine Dowell, who also went by the name Janine Charrell, was a 32-year-old woman living in the MOB neighborhood. She's sometimes labeled on internet theories as a setup chick, but I haven't seen any serious evidence of this. In reality, she seemed like a hard-working and fun-loving woman and a mother of 3, who would unfortunately become the target of the Get Back Gang due to the neighborhood she lived in and the company she kept. On the 28th of June, Janine was driving in an SUV with another woman named Juliet Washington in the Washington Park neighborhood when they stopped at a red light. At this moment, 2 shooters approached the vehicle from the sides, shooting into the car, hitting both victims multiple times, killing them before fleeing the scene. And heartbreaking pictures would later circulate, taken at the crime scene, as people close to the 2 victims would learn the tragic news. This time, however, the killers wouldn't ultimately get away, and eventually, McAdoo from 600 and Lil Scud from O-Block would be arrested and charged in this double murder. Newspapers would report how the authorities were still not aware of any motive behind the murders, but noted that both women had grown up in the Washington Park neighborhood. In online rumors, however, one of the alleged motives suggested that White Girl was apparently expected to cooperate in a battery case against someone allied to 600, and McAdoo and Lil Scud were apparently paid to do it as a hit. This is supported by the fact that, according to newspapers, McAdoo made 15 calls to a person charged with an aggravated battery against White Girl in the hours before and after the murder. At this point, McAdoo had become implicated in 3 murders that had taken place within just a few months of each other, but finally, his life as a free man Man ultimately came to an end. Meanwhile, MOB were outraged about this attack towards their innocent friend, and both White Girl and Jamo had now been killed as a response to a murder that MOB weren't even involved in. White Girl's murder was later referenced on the track Street to Me by MOB rappers Lil Mo 6 Blocker and Ruger. Dusky the Man also made a post dedicated to White Girl, promising to kill anyone who was involved in her murder. Post once again liked by Mimo 600. Even Tay Capone would eventually condemn McAdoo for these murders in a YouTube livestream when discussing Bitedown's equally disturbing case, claiming that fans praised McAdoo for these murders, yet he seemingly killed 2 innocent women.
Y'all really hate Bitedown, right? And like y'all really like, and I don't take up for neither one of these guys or what they charge for. I don't have nothing positive to say about those charges. But I see a lot of people hype up McAdoo, like no shade, no nothing, like, but people are infatuated with Mac. It's like his charges aren't as gruesome. Like it's almost like people like don't understand the differences between being in a certain situation allegedly and starting a certain situation allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Like I see people with all these big, you know, McAdoo campaigns, and it's like slandering Bitedown. Like, what is the difference to y'all? You know what I'm saying? Allegedly. These are alleged charges, but they're both gruesome.
Come on, man. Let's stop with the allegedly bullshit. Let's come on. You know it's true. You know they committed themselves. Let's stop saying allegedly, bro.
But it's like y'all obsession with one doesn't carry over to the other. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like y'all go out and y'all seek McAdoo and y'all fall in love with his persona. It's all type of like.
Recently, Trey 5 from O Block has also made a statement against McAdoo for this murder, as he allegedly told police that he heard McAdoo say that he caught someone on 55th and Warbush and that he knew it was White Girl. Whether White Girl's murder is seen as part of the get back for T-Roy or just a paid hit is irrelevant, because she was the 4th murder within 2 months carried out by the same group. With McAdoo being involved in the first 2, this murder was clearly a continuation of the gang's relentless killing spree, which had now seemingly broadened to include murder for hire. And sadly, things were still far from done, as next month Get Back Gang, or the so-called OB600, would commit another double murder, catching 2 family members of FBG Duck on the very same night.
Yeah.
Kobe Mack was the cousin of FBG Duck and a member of the Taekwon world, while FBG Brick was Duck's big brother.
See, a lot of don't understand, like, everybody think Duck, like, y'all know Duck, but anybody that really know Duck know me, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I ain't get my name off rapping, you know what I'm saying? Just something I always had a passion for, you know what I'm saying? I started doing it, but that ain't where I got my name from. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I guess by Duck getting his name from rapping, being over famous and see me and like, oh, that's Duck brother, but they really know, you know what I'm saying, know what I be on this. And that's my little brother, you know what I'm saying?
The little brother.
Little brother, yeah, my big little brother.
That's what's
you know
up.
What I'm saying?
Brick too was very close with Taekwon World and was often seen with TB and other members in his music videos. Moreover, it's rumored that Brick was the very person who actually gave TB T-Roy's location before he was killed. Fans actually believe that this is why Brick was seen pictured with the alleged killers, TB and Man Man, aka Get Right or Can't Get Right, around the time of the murder of T-Roy, with the duo wearing the exact same clothes that they wore when they killed T-Roy. Yet, even in the midst of Get Back Gang's murder spree, Kobe and Brick chose not to stay low-key and out the way. On July the 17th, a block party was being thrown in the 6300 block of St. Lawrence, the heart of STL's territory, where Brick and Kobe were both in attendance. Whilst Brick and Kobe were hanging out on a porch of the party house, a white SUV pulled up and a gunman got out, beginning to approach Kobe, ultimately shooting him multiple times. Brick attempted to escape, but he was then chased into an alley next to the house, where he was also shot several times. Both Brick and Kobe would end up dying at the scene, while the shooter returned to the vehicle and fled the scene. According to alleged witnesses, Brick was apparently left slumped over a fence that he had attempted to climb in an effort to escape. Meanwhile, images of Kobe's body laying on the grass in front of the house were released to the public in articles about the crime. Interestingly, the news would describe the 6300 block of St. Lawrence as a nice, quiet block, seemingly either completely unaware of what was happening in the neighborhood or showing a concerning level of subtle trolling, and a viral photo was also shared of FBG Duck and his mother, Mama Duck, mourning at the scene, with recordings of the aftermath also being released online, where Mama Duck could be heard screaming and crying, with her grief echoing throughout the neighborhood.
He laid out back there. Kobe right here.
Many suspect that O Block members HK, C Murder, Trey 5, as well as 600 members McAdoo and Cap 12 were involved in this hit, with one Redditor arguing that this is almost confirmed. Mama Duck has also talked about the murders in interviews, explaining to Say Cheese how a car came to the party's location, asking where Duck was, with witnesses claiming that Brick actually recognized the person who was in the car. After, another car would drive by, followed by immediate shooting, while yet another car was supposedly waiting behind the house to ambush anyone trying to escape.
Was a car pulled up and asked for Duck. Like, yo, Duck out here. And everybody looking like, who is you? They didn't recognize who was in the car. But Brick knew who was in the car. And he linked in there. He was like, oh, what's up? And I kind of figured like, well, who was this person that Brick knew? And if they was on from 39th, Kobe would have knew him as well, because Kobe didn't even know who they were, because his words was like, who is you? You know what I'm saying? And after that took place, then that's when
I'm pretty sure, I think Brick knew what's up. He said, oh, what's up? He said, oh, what's up? So I think he knew. But he probably didn't know something was going to pop off right then and there. Crazy for real. Really crazy, man. You know what I'm saying?
From witnesses and people who have told me that supposed to be in a car waiting in the back behind where they were standing, and then a car came up the one way and they instantly shot Kobe, and Brick tried to run and jump a gate and was shot in the back, and he was also, I'm assuming the way his autopsy report was, that as he was running towards the back, somebody was back there waiting on him.
During an Instagram live after the O Block members had been charged with the later murder of FBG Duck, she would even claim that O Block had nothing to do with Brick and Kobe's murder.
They ain't killed Brick and Kobe. Y'all heard it from my mouth, and we know. So all the internet that's out here talking about all HK did this for that, he ain't do that one. I don't know what he did, but he ain't do Brick and Kobe.
And in yet another video, she seems to even insinuate that Brick and Kobe weren't killed by ops at all, but rather someone much closer to them.
All of a sudden, the block get empty. Then 3 minutes later, I'm up the one way, but see, that could have been some ops, but what me up? What ops you know gonna sit in the back of a crib that they know Brick in front of? And he know the cut. This a new cut. The ops ain't even know about this cut. No, he gonna be right there. I go to this lady house, right? I still see the bullet holes in the gate when I go on 63rd St. Louis. And I look at it. These knew Brick was gonna jump or try to get away. Now, when they ran up on my cousin, they say he was wrestling with whoever with the gun. And that's how he got shot in his face, trying to stop them from shooting that Brick. Now, Brick was shot 6 times. He was shot twice in the back, twice in the butt, once in the arm. Altogether, he was shot 6, but the last shot was called point blank range under his eye. Right? So that means knew my son. Now, he probably got hit as he jumped the gate. He didn't get the face shot until he got to the back, and the was waiting right there for him, because they knew he was gonna jump that gate. Now, what ops you know gonna sit there for at least hours, wait for all the everybody, wait a minute, this the killer.
However, on social media, Mama Duck has also claimed that Cap was one of the other people involved, even stating on an Instagram comment that he has been implicated in killing Brick. Cap and Brick actually had a history of back and forths on Twitter just a month before the
I mean, that could be true. You know what I'm saying, know that new cut, or just waiting hours. I mean, the people do wait hours to get a person. They don't really we don't really know. We don't really know. Really don't.
Murder, and in these tweets, Brick can be seen insulting Cap and claiming that C-Day from 600 has no respect for him. Brick may have actually been touching on something real here, as C-Day famously tweeted in 2013 how the ops should have killed Cap instead of Trix, which according to some rumors was due to a love triangle between C-Day, Cap, and a girl that both of them were interested in. However, the tweet could also just be seen as C-Day's way of hinting that Cap was the one who had been hurting the ops the most. Less than an hour after the murders, Cap would post on Twitter a message that could be seen as a rather poor attempt at establishing an alibi, although according to some on Reddit, this was actually a twisted pattern that Cap had established. Similar to King Von supposedly always eating cereal to imply that he was a serial killer, in 2019, Cap took to Twitter again to disrespect both brothers, showing that he clearly had a hatred towards them. Brick also had a long history with McAdoo, with one chilling photo from many years ago showing the two spending time together at the same youth center, with this likely being the time when McAdoo in particular was still very close with 600's ops like MOB, who would become affiliated with STL, as well as people from STL like the female shooter KI that he was seemingly dating around this time. In the months leading to his murder, Brick would also take to Twitter to tell a story.
I said that before she got
that he was seemingly dating around this time. In the months leading to his murder, Brick would also take to Twitter to tell a story about a previous incident where Rondo had shot him during a fight, claiming that after the shooting, he had choked McAdoo while Inky D and C-Day ran from him. Most recently, Mama Duck would once again give an update on the case, this time giving a bombshell saying that the feds are about to charge 2 people for the murders of Kobe and Brick, cryptically saying, one of them, we ain't gonna talk about him, but the other one, we're coming for your ass.
So yes, they have 2 suspects in Brick's murder and Kobe's murder. One of them, we ain't gonna talk about. But the other one, they coming for your ass, Mr. Postman. Yeah. Stop killing people's kids and let God handle them. Stop sliding for y'all homies.
Well, you could have told the same thing to your sons. I mean, it is your streets. I mean, you gotta kill to survive. You gotta kill to survive. You know what I'm saying? I mean, RP the Duck and Breaking the same, but they was in the streets too. You can't just say second people's kids. You have your people doing the same thing, trying to survive. At the end of the day, they just want to survive. They're in the streets. Pretty sure most of them wanted to play ball, you know, and hoop, anything like that. But sometimes when you live in this type of neighborhood, you can't really do that because you're stuck in the streets. Because you hang with these people, you're not affiliated. People think you know, saying with them. But RP, everybody.
By this point, Get Back Gang had allegedly murdered.
We should really stop all this violence because it's just not good. But we shouldn't kill our own people.
7 people between May and July of 2017, all in the name of avenging their beloved member T-Roy. However, one man was still at the top of their hit list, the man actually responsible for killing T-Roy, TB, from Taekwon World, and 2 months later, Get Back Gang would ultimately find who they were looking for. With his right-hand man Poppy and FBG Brick being murdered just months earlier, TB
already know about this because of the video he did before.
Could have seen the warning signs that he was not safe in his area. Just 3 days before TB's death, E-Dog would post on Twitter claiming Get Back on the way, just watch. And then, on the morning of the 26th, TB would share to Facebook that he was feeling blessed, a chilling post considering what would come next. At 12:45 PM, TB was with a man named Marcus Clark on the 7000 block of South Chapel Avenue, which is literally the same block as the store where T-Roy was killed, showing just how incredibly recklessly TB was still moving, hanging around in the exact same areas where he had caught his infamous body. In fact, Lil D from 600 would later post messages between him and HK, where HK allegedly let D know that he found out where TB lives. In that very location, TB and his friend were both shot multiple times. The friend Marcus, who is also known as Side from Jaro City, would even receive a headshot, but thankfully survived the incident. Unfortunately, the same couldn't be said for TB. The police documents would show just how brutal TB's murder was when detailing all of his gunshot wounds, and it's likely that a whole magazine was emptied into him. In the police scan audio, it's even said that the shooters actually reloaded their guns and shot again. TB was ultimately pronounced dead at Northwestern Hospital, just 8.
That's how you know they wanted him gone for real. If they sent to reload the magazine and shot him one time, that's how you know they wanted him gone and didn't care who was watching or looking.
21. A crazy
That's
coincidence is just how similar the headlines were about T. Roy and TB's deaths were. Just another example of this lifestyle going full circle. Now, it's rumored that the gunmen in this hit were HK and McAdoo, this crime being the 8th murder that he was associated with in just 1 year. The police dispatch would also report that one of the shooters had a light complexion, which would apparently fit McAdoo's description, and the duo was seemingly moving together around this time, and they would pose for pictures the following day, clearly in high spirits. Meanwhile, members of Taekwon World would mourn TB's death. In just a few months, 2 of their most notable members, TB and Poppy, had been killed, allegedly at the hands of Get Back Gang, and since TB's death, they'd been commonly referring to him as the T. Roy Slayer, pretty much confirming something that everybody except the police seemingly already knew before his death. The extreme wave of violence that followed T. Roy's death was unheard of. Back-to-back murders in broad daylight, all in the span of just a few months. TB sadly made himself a target through his own actions, as well as by taunting his enemies, even after he knew they were after him. And as he chose not to relocate in this war, sadly it caught up with him. But before the year could end, the cycle of violence was not finished. HK himself would tragically lose his life in a completely separate situation in the very place that he would consider home. The 24th of November 2017 was a day seemingly like any other, with HK hanging around in Parkway Gardens, aka O Block. He was accompanied by 600 members, Lil D and McAdoo, who after a summer of causing terror in the streets, along with HK, had likely all become very close friends. In the CCTV footage that was released from that day, we can see the trio enter the 6436 tower, one of the blocks inside Parkway Gardens. HK and McAdoo would proceed upstairs, where they saw a man who wasn't from O Block, but was there just visiting somebody that he knew. This man was wearing gold chains, so HK and McAdoo allegedly decided to confront and rob him. Perhaps they thought that the man was likely aware of the reputation of O Block and wouldn't fight back against serious members affiliated with the area, but this turned out to be a big misjudgment. That man would notice a gun in one of their jacket pockets and quickly ran away into one of the apartment units, closing the door. HK would try to get in, but the man would then up his legal firearm, with a shootout going down between him and HK. HK was ultimately hit 2 times, once in the thigh, once in the abdomen. HK and McAdoo then retreated down the stairways, while McAdoo was blindly shooting back in the direction of the apartment unit from around the stairwell doorway. According to a woman who witnessed the whole episode, McAdoo then attempted to get HK down the stairs and out of the building, but eventually he bailed on this attempt to help HK and left the building without him. This is
you just gotta leave people alone, bro. You never like. Why you trying to rob somebody in Parkway? I mean, they say they didn't recognize him, but I mean.
They were informed that HK, real name Hakeem Murray, was the victim of several gunshot wounds. He was transported to the Northwestern Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 8:53 p.m. In the same year, both the brothers T. Roy and HK had lost their lives to gun violence. Perhaps the death of HK was a wake-up call to some of the 600 members to lay low, because overall, the following year would turn out to be much less eventful. But unfortunately, that didn't mean that the killing was over, and before 2018 would end, we would ultimately see one of the most heinous acts ever in Chicago drill history. Berger was a lesser-known member of 600. He had no music releases, nor is he seen in many pictures. It seems that Berger was more of a low-key character than many of the others we've discussed, and yet, like many others in this story, he'd been involved in the gang life since a very young age, with his social media having photos of him all the way from late 2010 dropping Wise, although it's not clear if this was a diss towards 051 Young Money or another set, as according to some Chiracologists, Berger was a GD who was originally from an East Side set called Gotti World or AX13. However, Tay Capone would also rap in his popular song Red Light how Berger was in the trenches with him since way back in the day, and it seems that like Tay, Berger was another one of the youngsters that Lil Boo had brought into 600, but because of Berger's activities in the streets, he had also seemingly been in prison for the majority of the time that 600 were making a name for themselves in the drill scene. It seems now that Berger too was planning on capitalizing on 600's infamous reputation in the scene, posting on social media about his plans on hitting the studio and dropping music. But Berger was also still very much active in the streets, and seemingly even somewhat part of the infamous Get Back gang formed after the death of T-Roy, as well as engaging in day-to-day hustling and selling packs. Unfortunately, it seems that Berger's actions in the streets were putting him in an increasingly risky position, as he would post how he was scared for his family because of his actions, and how there was a target on anyone's head who was cool with him, and how he was acting recklessly because he was active in a city that he wasn't from, and how he was simply going to take the city over. Sadly, these posts would be foreshadowing.
Oh, he's not even from there. He's not even from Chicago. That's crazy, man. But it's just really sad though for me. It's just sad though, y'all, for real, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm repeating the same people that lost their life, man. In this gang war since 2010, since the early 2000s, you know what I'm saying? It's just
exactly what was about to happen, because in January 2018, he would be killed outside of Chicago, many miles from the feuds that 600 were involved in. On the 5th of January, shortly before 8 p.m., Berger would make his last Facebook post, saying how he hated someone deeply. Less than an hour later, in Hammond, Indiana, a city about 20 miles southeast from 600's neighborhood, would find Berger, real name Shemaine Sargent, shot in the chest next to a stolen vehicle. People on Reddit would theorize about 600's ops being responsible for the killing, but soon after finding Berger's body, the Hammond police would arrest an 18-year-old local Hammond man as a suspect. Mimo 600 would later pay respects to Berger in his song Exposing Me. While in FBG Duck and Ruger's version of the song, many have understood Duck to be dissing Berger in a double entendre where he raps about flipping burgers. Besides the seemingly unrelated death of Berger, the war between 600 and their enemies would stay dormant for most of 2018. However, in October, the murder of one of MOB's top members would incite one of the fastest getbacks in history. Sadly, this same month, we would see one of the most high-profile mass shootings in Chicago history, with many indications that 600 might just have been involved. Dusky, or Dusky the Man, was a beloved member of MOB and had a history of being a top op to Black Disciple gangsters. One example is when Dusky allegedly beat up Lil Durk inside of a courthouse.
Is it true Dusky slapped Durk? Did that really happen?
Facts.
Those facts. Dusky really slapped Durk.
That's real facts. Smack the f out of Durk ass. This not no fun. I'm not lying. This ain't no cap. Smack out his ass. They both had the same court date. This was before all this jumped off on. He walked up to him. He asked him like, "You must be." He didn't even get the chance to say his whole name. Dusky went off on his ass. Poop pop, punched his ass up. Smacked him.
Damn, I swear, I never knew that. Damn.
Hell yeah. And I know that event. Shout out to them scrappers, folks.
So Dusky was gangster like that.
You say what, bro?
Dusky was gangster like that. He walking up slapping.
Man, Dusky get like that. He ain't the man. He don't call himself Dusky the Man for no reason, bro.
Following this incident, Dusky continued poking fun at Lil Durk and even posted a humorous meme of Durk switching sides following the beatdown. Dusky was also famous for being one of MOB's top artists alongside Ruger, and he'd been releasing music since at least 2011. He would also collab with other notable MOB members, including Ruger.
I did notice they said they all used to be cool with each other at some point. You know, some people got to pick sides, which you don't really got to pick sides, but you know, so that's what happened.
Scrap and Buki, as well as with 600's ops from other sets like Wooski from STL and another Wooski from the low end from the Crew 757, who were also beefing with 600 due to being so close to their ops like MOB and 051. Dusky has also been dissing 600 and their alleged blocks since the beginning of his rap career.
Yeah, they not out here. Well, it's 27, well, it's 757, they is not outside. Oh, look.
In his song All We Know Is Kill from 2011 with another MOB member called Lil G, there are disses towards Brick City, 600, and their specific members like C-Day as well as Chief Keef. The featured Lil G raps using C-Day's real name, how he's going to put Lil Courtney in a box, and shots fired on the drive, 600, them dudes can't stay alive, a reference to Lil Steve, who was allegedly killed by MOB Scrap in 2011, which caused 600 to call their hood Steve Drive. The song also begins with a stern diss towards Brick City, or the Bricks, as they were also called, and ends with a clip of somebody shouting, 600K, we killin' them boys. After Chief Keef would drop his second hit song Love Sosa, Dusky the Man also dropped his own version of the song called Hate Sosa, where he imitates Chief Keef's lyrics from the song but changes them to diss Keef and his friends from 600 like D Rose. Ultimately, Dusky was a gifted rapper who could also do very lyrical and emotional songs when he wanted to, like in his tribute song to Scrap, where he details his heartbreak over the loss of his MOB brother. Unfortunately, this side of him was mostly overshadowed by just how deeply invested he was in the war in the streets, which in 2018 was still very much alive despite 600 seemingly laying low after their alleged activities the previous year with O-Block. Around this time, Dusky could often be seen on social media hanging around the Washington Park and Woodlawn area. Dusky and his friends like Wooski and FBG Duck would even go live while walking on the infamous 63rd Street, making them easy targets for any ops trying to find out their location.
Got this done. Not a coming strike MOB. And we out here on the 6, ain't worried about none of that. 6-1. Cheeto. Hold on, wait. What do you see down there? Where the we at? Now show me again. Let them know where the I'm at. They want to talk, we don't want to talk.
What you doing, boy? You ain't lying. That's how you lying. Tell their ass they should.
They be chewing.
Chewing, big chewing.
Another day, Dusky would be on an Instagram live together with Wooski and several girls who were allegedly from 600 and THF 46's hoods. In this disrespectful video, the girls go seamlessly from swearing on dead 600 members like Lil Steve to rapping the lyrics of Wooski's Computers remix. Perhaps the most disrespectful diss ever made against 600 and their allies.
Bob.
I know I'm Bob.
Oh, E. I'm a Bob. Can I take another? What's this?
I never cared.
You a Bob?
You never cared.
Is you a Bob?
I know.
Is you a Bob? Say you a Bob right now.
I'm a Bob.
Say I'm the best Bob in Chicago, Illinois, bitch.
Because they love guns. And they play with guns. And they love guns. And they play with guns on Cheeto.
Oh,
on Cheeto. GDK.
Hey, she need the phone. I don't know where she on now. It's tweaking on Cheeto. That's why we can't. Oh, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, we went to Oppo. Steve's Oppo on the G.
BD don't play with me on Steve. Don't play with me
We smoking all Oppo. On Brad.
on Steve. Don't do that.
On Brad.
Stop.
On Steve, don't do that.
Hey, where y'all from? Italy. Y'all from 460 Drive. All type of.
I'm so BD, BD,
No, you're not.
Fire, BK, what?
If y'all from TH46 and 600 and y'all niggas, if y'all live on that block,
who?
Thank you,
my homie. I'll smoke you play with my homie on Brad. Strap, I'll smoke you. Motherfucker, stand over your granny and FaceTime us. Photo in the grill. Yeah, for real. Oh, photo grill. Let's get y'all a buffet and photo. Got on the seal.
Well, it ain't me.
Why is y'all dissing y'all own dead homies though?
It was activities like this that would make Dusky one of the prime targets for 600, and in late 2018, these antics would allegedly cost him his life. On the 8th of October, Just Blow and Cap 12 were allegedly with Front Street members in Front Street territory. Commenters on Reddit would theorize that these two were likely lurking during this time based on their clothing. That night, Cap would also make a cryptic tweet simply stating, "You deserve to get shot," followed by more similarly ambiguous tweets the next day, the last one being, "Shots fired, dudes panicking," around 1:45 p.m. Then, a few hours later, around 4 p.m, Dusky and a woman friend were in a parked car in the 5600 block of South Michigan Avenue, the heart of MOB's territory, when a car reportedly drove past them, opening fire, shooting at the car multiple times, and hitting both occupants. And the police would later find Dusky lying on a sidewalk, unresponsive.
Alright, y'all. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I'll see y'all for the next, for the last part. You feel me? We out.